So this week we've just come together back here behind St. Andrew's Church to talk a little bit more about our theme that we've had through Episcopal Relief and Development about asking ourselves, who is our neighbor? And this week in particular, they asked us to reflect upon how we see and how God sees us and each other. And it made me think about the gospel reading from this last Sunday, which was just such an incredible gift in the Gospel of John. And the thing that struck me was that at the beginning of the gospel, there are other times where individuals who had been healed actually seek out Jesus. But in that particular reading, Jesus sees the man born blind. He goes and he heals him, and then Jesus disappears for a while. And there's all this incredible back and forth between people fighting over who he was and who his parents were and if he had sinned and caused all of this. And then Jesus comes back into the story, and he seeks him out. He goes and he finds him. So that pattern of first Jesus seeing him, then healing him, and then going and finding him, I just found so powerful. So seeking, healing, and finding. And it just makes me so aware of how we are to seek out and see others. So I just would like to, hear y'all's thoughts about that.
Yeah. And then the other thing I really like about that story in particular is the fact that after the man's sight is restored, he can see clearly who Jesus is in a way that the other people around him can't.
Right.
So there's kind of like this back and forth. He is truly seen by Jesus, and because of that, he is able to truly see who Jesus is.
Yep. And is a witness to who he is.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah. So,
yeah.
That kind of calls to mind for me the work of one of our saints in the Episcopal Church, the Blessed Frances Joseph-Gaudet, and we just were celebrating her anniversary at the Evensong at historic St. James Episcopal Church. Well, St. Luke's Episcopal Church. Sorry. Historic St. Luke's Episcopal Church.
But you're right, because it's actually St. James AME. So
That's
you're right.
Exactly.
So it's St. James AME and St. Luke's Episcopal.
So Mother Jane Ellison had hosted us all at the Evensong, which was a wonderful event, but we were able to hear some of the work, be reminded of her important work at the end of the Civil War, the turn of the century there, and how she really saw the most vulnerable in a way that very few other people saw.
Yeah, absolutely. And I love that Blessed Frances was able to do all of the work that she accomplished by drawing together the whole community. She had to work across class lines, racial lines, to be able to really affect change in the greater New Orleans area. And so I feel like she had to see the community as a whole and what they could do in order to harness that potential for her ministry.
I mean, she really was a woman before her time. I mean, you think about that time period for a woman of color and to step into the diversity of this particular community and say, I want to give voice to the voiceless. I want to shine a light on those who are not seen. And the breadth and depth of her work is incredible. I mean, everything from prison reform to work with those who are mentally ill, with children, education. It's an extraordinary story.
It is. She opened her own home
Right.
as a school and then bought the 105 acres to do continuing work with the students who had no other place to go.
Yeah.
Right. And I think that she wanted to see to the heart of the matter. So when she saw a person who was incarcerated, she asked the question, why? Why are you here? What brought you here? And was able to uncover a lot of times it was just because they didn't have resources or family or mentors to look out for them. And because she was able to ask those deep questions and see people in that way, she was able to kind of get to the root of some of the problems and help, build better futures for other people, give other people opportunities they didn't have.
Well, it struck me on Sunday looking at the list of those who received grants and to think about, and we talk about her legacy, but to think about now, today, that vision, that site is now being spread all over this entire community. And these are organizations that spend every single day waking up and saying, what new can we see in our communities? What changes can we make? Because Frances Gaudet certainly teaches us that one person can make a difference, for sure.
Absolutely.
So I think, as we continue kind of, we work towards Holy Week, I think it's important for us to look for the Frances Gaudets in our midst and to see how we can see and how we can be spreading God's love to others, and just like the man born blind, to be witnesses to that.
Amen.
Amen.
Amen.